And the British government intends to spend another $2.6 billion to prepare for a no-deal Brexit. It's double the amount spent on preparations earlier this year. The money will fund a nationwide advertising campaign, help Britons living abroad, ensure the supply of medicine and improve infrastructure around ports. New Prime Minister Boris Johnson has vowed to leave the EU with or without an agreement on October the 31st. It all rests on the controversial Irish backstop, which keeps the UK in a customs union with the EU until there's a way to avoid a hard border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. Mr. Johnson wants it scrapped, but maintains that he still wants a deal with Brussels. For more, let's cross over now to Natalie Powell. She's in London for us right now. Natalie, there are huge extra sums that have been added. Is it being universally accepted that it'll do the trick here?
That's right, a doubling of what the government is putting in this year for its no-deal preparations, bringing the total sum that it's spending on no-deal preparations to £6.3 billion. That's around $7.6 billion. Now, in terms of reaction to this, it has been quite mixed. Of course, Sajid Javid, the Chancellor of the UK, who launched these announcements, suggests that it's important that the UK begins really preparing for a no-deal situation, that potentially in 92 days the UK could be out of the EU without agreeing to a deal. And of course, one of the things that you've got to realise what this sum of money does is signal to the EU that the UK government is serious about a no-deal situation. But we have heard a lot of criticism from this, a lot of people suggesting that this is simply small fries in the grand scheme of things when it comes to businesses mitigating the risks of no deal in the long term, for example. And the Shadow Chancellor in the UK, John McDonnell, suggesting that actually this is a total waste of UK taxpayer money that could be better spent elsewhere. And the reason that he's said that, and many critics are saying that, is that the UK doesn't have to necessarily exit without a deal. It could ask for an extension, for example, but Boris Johnson's hard line is that do or die, the UK will be leaving the EU on the 31st of October, and that will happen with or without a deal.
Natalie, in the event that it does spend this amount of money in a no-deal Brexit scenario, what are the repercussions for the UK economy?
Well, there are many forecasts doing the rounds about what that might look like for the UK economy. And one of the biggest criticisms really is that this money could be better spent elsewhere. It is money that may not actually amount to anything, may not actually mean that it gets used. Well, the money will get used, but if the UK doesn't end up in a no-deal situation, it's a kind of waste of money, I suppose. So a lot of criticism surrounding that. We also know that HMRC, the customs body here in the UK, has suggested that around 5,000 staff members would be needed at the borders to try to alleviate the strain there in the case of a no-deal situation. And the government not able to say at the moment how many staff members this money is likely to go towards. In terms of wider Brexit and the implications on the UK, well, the forecast suggests that unemployment could push beyond 5%, house prices could fall 10%, the pound is likely to fall further, and we've seen in recent days how it has fallen just on the threat of a no-deal. And in addition to that, there are expectations that a no-deal scenario could plunge the UK economy into recession. So while the government is trying to put towards funding towards its no-deal preparations and try to shore up the country as best it can, really the sums of money that it is spending is a drop in the ocean in comparison to the implications that a no-deal scenario would have on the UK economy.
The downside risks certainly seem rather bleak there. Natalie, thank you very much for that. Natalie Powell there in London.